Right. Okay, so I'm live. I'm using my other camera at the moment. It's not very good quality, I know, I'm sorry about that, but the phone tends to get pretty hot when I'm doing long live streams, so I've got this coil, this three arrangement fitted, which, hang on a minute. So I've got this 3-stage with cable noise suppression ferrites, which is basically like an oval shaped toroid in each one of these coils. Right, so I'm trying to get the RPM meter in there. Trying to get this camera set right. Right, so what I'm trying to do is, I'm only interested in what's on the RPM meter when I load this coil really at the moment. So anyway, I was looking for my resistors and I could only find big chunky resistors. I could only find this 33 ohm resistor that, well, I've got some smaller 10 ohms, but I was afraid of burning up because even though these coils, I did a quick one a bit ago, even though they were producing about, I think it's about 4 volts peak to peak. It's not a great deal of voltage, so I don't think I'll burn out any resistors, but I just wanted to load it down with a load. So 33 ohms, and the oscilloscope's on the background. The blue trace is this particular coil, and you can't even see the oscilloscope trace really. Well, maybe now. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tip this resistor onto the leg of this oscilloscope black lead that's connected to that other coil. And there's the, oops, damn it, it's not stuck on there properly. Right. There we go. So if I clip the other end of this wire onto the other resistor, don't you fall off on me, and then I'm going to connect it up when I've got it running, which is not yet. Let's get it started up and let it settle down a bit. Battery's going flat though, so yeah, hopefully I'm only running it at 7.6 volts, I don't know, can't remember, it's going down anyway. Right, LEDs, I don't know if you can see, oh they're actually behind there, can't really see them, but the LEDs are little, you can see the light off my hand. Those LEDs are running on these coils on top, so let's ignore that. If I take it off, it just revs up really fast. So what I want to find out once it's stabilised on the RPM, if you can hear it's very quiet, what I want to find out is if there's drag when I connect the resistive load, which is 33 ohms. You can see the blue trace on the oscilloscope in the background. Peak to peak is oh, I forgot to put my toroid back on. It's actually 4 volts for this one. Right, now it's up to 4.08 volts with the concentric. Now let's connect the resistive load and see what happens. Now there's different ways of wiring these coils. One way is to have the exit coil as the motor's exiting reverse polarized, so that it actually would accelerate it's leaving its magnetic pole, because it would flip the polarity around. But that's something I'm going to try later on. And let's connect, right, as it stabilized, 3,900. Well, it seems to stabilise because it's dropping a bit, the battery must go in. Let's put this load on. $3,891. It's not dropped much. And look at, oh my god, the voltage on the oscilloscope barely moved. 3.76 volts. Took it off. 4 volts now. Hang on a minute, is this lead actually good? Oops. That's come off. Ah, come on. .76, take it off. 3.92, it's definitely loading it down. 3.76, yeah, it's definitely loading. What is the speed slowing down? 3,896. Take it off. Oops. 3,90910. Yeah, it is changing slightly. Yeah. I'm interested how much current's being dissipated by this resistor. I'm going to feel it, see if it's getting warm. Because I've got my other meter hooked up to the input power, so I can't just nick my meter out of the circuit right now because I'll have to rewire everything over here. Well, it is running very, very smoothly, and right, let's yeah, it's definitely this lead's definitely connecting it up. I wasn't sure that the lead was good to begin with. Some of these Chinese leads tend to crap out on you. I need a lower resistor, that's what I really need, to test the drag effects on it. But I'm very interested in the fact that this 330 ohm, oh actually is it a 220? No, it's a 22 ohm I think. 22 ohm is this, it's barely pulling it down, which is really encouraging. It's mostly current from this coil though. It's only about 4 volts. Let's short it out directly. Right, we're directly shorted now. We're seeing a drop to 3,500, it's dropping still. Take the short off. Right, well, I need to take this meter out of line with the thing, so I'm going to take, because I want to measure current. I'll just disconnect that a minute. Right, I need to take my crocodile leads off, clip things, and get my leads over here somehow, they're all entwined. Black one out. I want to do some meter measurements. Come on, you bugger. Right. Right, so I need to put this on I'll leave it on the 10 amp range for now. Stick it on AC. Right. Connect this back up again. Give it a chance to speed up. Right, so I've got the resistor in line right now. Let's put this other meter in series. With this resistor. Let's see how much current we're sucking out of this coil. Oh, I'm offset right. No, I'm not. I want to be on the 200 milliamp range. Okay, the 22 ohm resistor is only drawing 31 milliamps. Right, let's bypass this resistor and do a complete short. Oops, I'm over 200 milliamps. I went over limit. So I was shorting this coil out, then it shot above 200 milliamps. I really need a lower value resistor. Let me find one. In my box of ancient resistors, I must be able to find a low value in here somewhere. I'm just going to tip them all out somewhere actually, because no, maybe not. Actually, I'll use. Oh, I've got a 68 ohms is even higher. I've got a wire on 68 ohms. I forgot I had that. I'll have to take that out of there because it might come in handy. We're at 4,000 RPM. Let's take this load off of the other LEDs, see what speed we get. That's without the other LEDs connected. That's on the conventional coil at the moment. And 64 volts peak to peak on the yellow, 66, Yeah, I think I'll leave it connected. I don't like it running too fast. I'm still waiting for it to dry out, you see. Hang on. I don't like going too fast until that acetone dries out, basically. Too high. One of the new bearings I fitted is not very good. That's what you can hear. It's not bearings. It's from China, so what do you expect? I always get the odd bearing that's not right. I can't find a low value in here. Actually, let's cut 222 ohms in parallel. Actually, that could be, yeah, I'll put 2 in parallel. That'll be about 10 ohms. Or it'll be 11. Right. So that's the 22, this is the 22, I'll stick them these in parallel with each other. Oops. I think I'm going to twist them together actually. The legs are a bit oxidised, but it should be alright. They're very old resistors, these things are. Right. Now, 2 resistors in parallel is 66.8 milliamps. Take it off. Not much of an increased drag. I'll put my big clips on to click on it, it'll hold better. Oh, I'll pull the other end off again. Right, so that's the current on that coil when it's loaded down on basically 11 ohms. Right, let's take the other coils off, disconnect those, see what speed we get up to. Now look at the current on this other coil's arrangement. The speed's climbing with the other 2 coils turned off. the speed is climbing with this coil through a load. The speed is climbing and the current's going up on this other coil arrangement. We're almost up to about 90 milliamps. Put the other coil back on. The other two driving the LEDs. So the other two coils that are driving those LEDs pull it down an enormous amount of RPM. But this 3-coil arrangement, when we're drawing about 90 milliamps, hardly moves it at all, which is very interesting. What I really need to do is build this test coil longer, so I've got more turns of wire, so if it comes further out, see if I get this at a lower down angle. So I think the next phase is to make these test coils so they come out further, so I can get a lot more wire on them, so we can get a usable voltage that can actually power the LEDs, because 4 volts isn't going to power those LEDs. They need about 12 because of the arrays. So that is very useful. I think I've just demonstrated something quite interesting there, that I was pulling out 100 milliamps and this thing was accelerating with these two coils disconnected. Now, how much current is going through these coils? I'm sure you want to know right now, so let's find out how much current is being drawn through these two coils that seem to really knock the RPM down, and that will be also AC. So let's put my other clip on here. Actually, I could use my little clips. I don't want these braided ones. So, I don't know if you can see the LEDs that are on the back, but they're shining very brightly. You don't need to give you camera glare anyway, if I ever know. Right, so we're still on AC. Put this lead onto here. Oops. Put this lead onto here. I know, you look at that. Now that is interesting. That is very interesting. Notice the current being drawn through these two coils on top that are not configured in a 3-stage coil array. These two coils that are driving the LEDs are at 99.2 milliamps, but look how much RPM we lose. The amount of RPM we are losing is ginormous. It's huge. And we're drawing about the same current that I was loading down on the other coil array, yet that hardly dropped the RPM at all. So I definitely think we're onto something with these 3 coil arrangements. So look at the RPM. Making sure nothing's getting hot. So we're at 12,000 RPM, 99 milliamps on these two coils. We're actually exactly on 100 milliamps for the LED right now. Disconnect that. And look at the RPM going up. Put the LEDs back on. Now connect the resistive 11 ohm load, because there's two 22 ohm resistors in parallel. Connect the resistive load back back across this new test coil. This other one's come off, hang on a minute. Right. Now take this load off disconnect the other two coils. Now watch the RPM go up and the current go up. Yeah, the 3 coil test is a success. I just need more voltage, so I need to make it longer, I need to have more turns. That is very, very interesting. We're at 84 milliamps, but this battery's going down, so it's going to slow down gradually over time, because this battery that's running everything is starting to run flat. Take the other coil off. Right. Yes. Success. I need to build bigger test coils, or actually functional coils that can do some real work. I'm itching because I've got flipping plastic stuck on my hand. And the coil's actually coming out, it's vibrating loose. It's coming out of here. It's only a test setup though. Turn that off. It'll be time for a rotor inspection. Make sure nothing's starting to... Yeah, everything looks cool. Everything looks good. It's harder to see because of the protective tubes that I've got in there that basically protect the drum, the rotor drum, so that if it was to shatter, I wouldn't have pieces flying out and hitting me, because it's got a protective drum around the rotary drum. I'm actually making new protective drums to go around this other one here. This one here doesn't have them on yet. And just to show you what they look like, this is what the protective drums look like. These are the smaller ones. These are going to be fitted onto this one at the back. So I've got to dismantle this. I've got to rebalance this anyway, this one. It's got to be rebalanced, and I'll fit these new protective cylinders around the rotary drum so that we don't get hit by any flying debris if the rotor's drums should ever shatter or fall apart. But these need at least a week to dry out because I've just treated them with this acetone today. So they need a few days of drying out before I actually fit them in. But I'm really happy about these 3 coil arrangements. It's working. It's actually working. I mean, you see, there's a difference between what I'm doing and what other previous people might have done. The 3 coil arrangement is done not against one magnet, but it's done against 3 magnets. The new drums, I'll show you on this drum here. I'll just take it off this test balancing stand. The difference between my magnet drum and other people's magnet drums is that there's actually 3, that's 1, 2, 3 magnets all of the same pole. So that's, say, for example, south, 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 then there's a gap, then it's north, north, north. So if you do this 3 coil arrangement against a single magnet that's just one pole of south, this 3 coil arrangement probably won't work. There's something else as well that's significant about this design, and it's very important, is the toroids. Oops. Right, the toroids, everything's sticking to the magnets, will cause a magnetic rotation around, because when you stick a magnet on a toroid, it doesn't make any difference what point on the toroid around it you go, that particular field will be equal all the way around. And I'll show you what I mean. So there's my magnetic, there's a gauge that I made. It's equal all the way around. So you get really close to the opposite end of the magnet. But if you look, it's gravity pulling it down there, but it is equal. So if I do it horizontally, you won't see it. So, but it is equal all the way around. So we're using the rotational effects of a toroid to basically rotate the field, and that's not just all of it. The toroid doesn't have to be perfectly round, because what I'm using, and what other people have probably done in the past, is they've probably used a piece of iron which won't work, and I'll explain why. What I'm using is can you see the hole in the middle? I'll get a big one if I can find one. I've got a big one in here. Right, well, what this is a cable noise suppressor. It's basically a flattened toroid, basically. It's a flat toroid. And that's why I'm seeing less RPM drop, because what's happening is the field, let me get my magnifying glass, I'm on this proper camera. If you, oh god, my camera lens, my magnifying glass is full of dust. It's because I've been sanding down stuff earlier. Right. Now, if you look at a flat cable suppressor, let me get this lined up. Right. There's a hole all the way through it. Can you see that? Right? There's a hole going all the way through it, and it's got rounded ends. The ends are round. Put my finger behind it because you probably can't see it. You see, magnetism doesn't care about roundness, but it is round. I mean, magnetic fields do care about the roundness. I mean, you don't really care about how steep that round angle is, as long as it is round. So what we've got is a flattened tube. So what happens is the magnetic field, I'll get my magnet here. Right, the magnet is approaching this flat cable noise suppression thing. The magnet approaches, and as it comes in on one side, because remember my rotors have three sort of poles. So what happens when one of these, because there's 3 coils in them and there's 3 of these, so we have one of these these flat toroid things is basically on one magnet. We have another one of these on the other magnet. We have another one of these over the other magnet. So what we have are 3 of these. Now what happens when you put 3 pieces of steel in, for that matter, on each magnet? They push away from each other. They repel. So this thing doesn't want to be attracted to the rotor magnet. It actually repels. So you don't have drag. You don't have drag on the entry, you don't have drag on the exit. But we have this rolling motion of the coil of the waveform, as I was explaining earlier, where as the magnets are approaching, as the magnets are approaching, I don't want to shatter these things are extremely fragile, by the way. They break very easily, so I'm going to put this back in my component tray, because they're not cheap. They're quite expensive to buy. I'll just stick that out of the way. Let me just give me a minute. I've got some bigger ones and I'll show you. Right, the big ones are too big to fit in this device. Well, I've got some good ones, but these are ones that got broken and I repaired them. These are too big for this build, but I've got a few of these. I had to super glue these together because they actually got broken, but they're still usable because they came in a batch I ordered from China. And as would have it, as always happens when you order stuff from China, you always end up with a bag of bits. broken bits, and well, I stuck these together, and they actually sent me a new batch of ones which were all good. But these particular ones I had to mend, had to repair, but they're still good for a test at some point. Now, I was explaining this in the previous video. As the magnet rotor, because there's 3 magnets on the rotor, as I was explaining, we have south pushing on there, so we have a slower waveform, because that might be on the outside of the array, so that might be the end south, this is the middle south, and this is the other end south. So we have a bigger peak on the center coil, we have weaker peaks on the outside coil. Now, we have this rolling effect where, as the rotor is moving, the first coil will have a large peak, the second coil will be smaller, and the third coil will be smaller still. And as the rotor is moving, that wave will basically rotate. It will rotate around the axis of the ferrite rings. So what we have here is the first coil being energized. The other coils will subtract the lens effect from the drag. So instead of having drag on one coil, we see less drag on any particular coil, because each subsequent coil, if there's 3 sets, if there's 3 of them in a set, then the lensing effect will add to counteract that drag. Because what happens is, if one particular coil is dragging, it's actually creating a field on the other coil which is accelerating. So the drag effect cancels itself out. So we have less drag, because the drag or lensing effect is basically cancelled out to a certain degree. So it's hard to explain it really, but just, you saw it yourself. I was running the test. I was drawing about the same current, 100 milliamps, and the RPM was going right up when I disconnected these 2 coils, which don't have the 3 coil arrangement. So when these 2 coils were disconnected, the RPM was going way up, and this one was loaded down to 100 milliamps, and that's just one set of 3 coils, right? Just one set of 3 coils on that. Anyway, so we need to have we need to basically make bigger, longer coils. I need to basically use both poles and have them in series as well, because at the moment these 3 in series, but there's nothing in the other slot next to it, it's empty. So I need to basically have an equal test with 2 sets of 3, just like there's 2 coils in series at the top. So we need to see that effect in unison on the bottom, on this other stage here, so which is what we're going to be doing later anyway. But anyway, that was interesting. I mean, the point of the matter is, I was drawing the same amount of current, maybe not the same amount of voltage, because the voltage was a lot lower on this one, but we were still drawing the same amount of current. Maybe there could be an error in that, because really the test isn't really that valid unless you're actually drawing the same amount of voltage and current. You really need to have the same voltage and current to be able to do an accurate test, I suppose. But still, even when I shorted it out, it didn't drop that much, did it? I shorted it out completely, and it didn't drop that much. Actually, I haven't done that test yet. Let's short it out and disconnect the LEDs at the back and see how much it accelerates. That's another test I can do. So I'll just get this magnet thing out of the way, because it keeps on picking at it, grabbing at hold of everything. Right, so right, so if I short this out directly, let's just get it up to speed first. And where's my other wire gone? take the LEDs off. Now, if we shorted this out completely, once it gets up to speed, coil's falling out. Those batteries are running down. Right, let's short it out completely. We're only losing about 300 RPM or so, not much. And there's over 200 milliamp being dissipated through the short circuit. Because it went over the limit on my meter, if you remember. Right, so that's what it dropped down to, 4,644 RPM. That's with a direct short across the coil. Take it off. Yeah, we're only gaining a couple of 100 milliamps. I mean, we're only gaining a couple of 100 RPM. Put the LED back on. See, with that, we lose a lot more. Anyway, my finger stuck to the blue tack now. I am very, very encouraged. You know, I had to wind these by hand because there was only 100 turns on each, 103 turns on each one of these coils, right? I really couldn't get more on there because they're too short and there's not much space in there. So having them longer will enable me, now I've got an idea of the kind of voltage, I can double the length to get double the voltage. I can use thinner wire to get more voltage, to get more turns on, because I use 26 SWD wire on now actually to get more current. So it was only a test coil anyway, I wasn't expecting to get a lot of voltage out of it. It was just to test the theory out, and it certainly looks interesting. So I'm going to have to print some longer ones. Right. Right, I'm going to end the stream now because I think this 3-coil arrangement is definitely a success. Take my source got a probe off there. Oops. Let's just dismantle everything and take the coils out so you can have a look at them because I haven't really shown you that yet. Take the concentric off. Bit of blue tack on there. Right, there's the coil arrangement, there's my concentric on the back end. And there's the little ferrites I was showing you. And the the spacing on that is basically very small. The actual height is 30 millimeters across the full height, and the coils are 21.37 millimeters. That's with the bodies fully occupied with copper. And I can tell you that there's about 9 grams of copper on each spool. There's not a lot of wire on there. It's only 9 grams. The whole coil without the ferrites in weighs 10 grams. The actual plastic bobbin probably weighs about a gram or something. I'm just guessing, I don't really measure it to be honest, but I measured the whole thing and it's 10 grams with the bobbin plus the copper wire. So that's that. Yeah. So I thought that was quite interesting, that test, and I actually filmed it live. I didn't have any. I didn't do any sneak previews on it earlier before, so you saw what I saw, that this particular coil arrangement works very well. It does if you're using 3 magnets. Like on my drum, as you can see, there's 3 magnets in the drum. 1, 2, 3 correspond with the coils. 1, 2, 3. And there's very little pull on there. When you get to the middle, it pulls a lot. It pulls a lot when you get to the middle. But when you go to the side, it actually lets go. I don't know if I can show you that. Right, it's let go there. Right, this is light right here. Let me try and show you this. Basically, it wants to go in the middle. Oh. You're watching. Oops. Pulls a lot in the middle. Look. Oops. It's pulling, lifts it out of the thing in the middle. But on the edges, it wants to turn, so it's hard to show you. It actually keeps turning, but on the edges it's not pulling at all there. The drum is rotating slightly. In the middle it's neutral. Oops. I nearly had it. It's actually neutral there. Oops. Till it went to the middle. Right. So we have a cancellation effect going on when it gets to the in between the 2 different poles. There's actually virtually no pull there at all. Yeah. I'm tired. Right. I'm smelling summer. What am I smelling? Oh, it's this resistor that was getting warm. Oh, it must be that heat shrink sleeving must have been getting warm, I don't know. Right. So I'm gonna go back into SketchUp and start designing, or just extending these coils. I've got to work out how much longer they need to be. I could make them wider. Yeah, I can make them a bit wider. Get bit more copper. No, actually, probably not a lot wider, but you see, when I designed this, I didn't take into consideration I was going to be making these coils. So I've had to tile this piece out so it would fit in there. I used a hacksaw just to cut the slot out a bit bigger so it would fit in, because they were snug fit. Oh, my coil actually. That's what I smell. It's the super glue off my coil. I super glued the wires, and these coils must have been getting warm or something. I don't know. Anyway, I can smell glue or something. So there's not much else to say at the moment. So happy buys for now.